Assalamualaikum. Ada dengar ke suara saya?
Dengar.
Oh, okey. Ingat. So belum mula lagi
Belum.
Okey, baik.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Emeritus Professor Tan Sri Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Director of International Islamic University Malaysia, our distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. Jamalludin Abdul Rahman, Dean Kuliah of Medicine, members of the University Management Committee, Dr. Mahyuddin Daud, Director Sports Development Center, our moderator for Murabbi Talk today, Dr. Muhammad Azani Saad, Deputy Director, Office of Knowledge for Change and Advancement, Organizer for Murabbi Talk Series, Deans and Directors, brothers and sisters, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the IIUM SAF Murabbi in Action Talk Series featuring Professor Dr. Jamalludin Abdul Rahman with topic Endurance, Cycling as a Reflection of Life. The SAF Murabbi in Action Talk series is a platform for all IIUM communities to share their efforts and experience in implementing Sejahtera Academic Framework or SAF. I am Muhammad Kharazam from Asst KIUKHS MC for today. Before we start, let us begin with the recitation of Kitab Al-Fatiha. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. To all participants, please record your attendance. Link is available in the chat room in Zoom and IIUM official YouTube channel. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Azani Saad, Deputy Director, Office of Knowledge for Change and Advancement, to give a speech. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina wa habibina wa nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Thank you so much, Brother Khairul Azam, for giving me just a few seconds to say a few words. I'm not going to give speech because this is not a platform for me to give speech, but it's just a few words as an opening remarks. I'm here to represent Associate Professor Dr. Lihana, the Director of KCA, who could not be here today with us. But on behalf of the host, on behalf of the organizer, I would like to first especially thank you, Prof. Jamalludin, for his generosity to spend his time to talk to us about his experience of cycling. And also thank you to Dr. Mahyuddin, who has agreed to be the moderator for this particular sessions, and also to fellow staff and students. I hope some students are here as well, who are joining us this Monday afternoon. On a personal note, I've been listening to a number of impressive stories about Prof. Jamalludin, who, people have been telling me about his cycling from Gombak to Kuantan, and vice versa. And it's like mashallah, wow, even I could not do that, cycling from my home, which is just behind UIA to the campus. So I think this is a chance for us to really listen to what he has to say or what he wants to share about his cycling experience with all of us. And maybe hopefully towards the end, we can try to translate his personal experience into our role as a Murabbi in this particular university. So without any delay or without furthering any delay, I would like to just say thank you again, and I ask Allah to some sort of bless this evening talk and then grant us understanding, and hopefully that we will learn something towards the end of this particular talk. Sorry, I did not notice Tan Sri just now, so I would like to again welcome Tan Sri, and I thank you for joining us this afternoon. All right, so thank you again. Jazakallah khair, everyone. So I would like to pass back the floor to Brother Azam. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Now it is my pleasure to have the Honorable Tan Sri, Rector, to give his welcoming remark. Please welcome Tan Sri.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I am not sure whether I have to give the welcoming remark each time there is a Murabbi talk. but anyway, for Jamal's sake, I am quite happy to do this because I think he has got many things to offer as a Murabbi, and knowing his work and knowing his passion in certain things. We just came back, in fact, yesterday from a very exciting to me, a very exciting meet with more than 100 maknyas, lesbian, gay, sex workers, which is an extraordinary kind of an experience that not everybody has the privilege to do that. And I was very privileged to be there and to interact with them on a one-to-one note. And I noticed many things that we have done well, but we have not captured it somehow or other in trying to present it to other people as not a kind of show off, but to tell them that some of these problems can be handled. I think this is the point that I want to make. Some of these problems can be handled, some of these problems can be settled, but people need to know this before they can allow us to do it. Otherwise, we will caught in old ways of doing things, which is very complicated because the framing is not right, the context is not right, and therefore this experience, I think, is a very useful experience. So I'm expecting COM under Prof. Jamal will be able to lead this, because we need to open some new doors and new windows for us to move forward, knowing that the old ones does not work. So we cannot just be complacent about it, but let's try and push and find other ways of doing it. And yesterday, to me, exhibits so many things. One of the criteria that I think shows that it working is because we are able to give funds to 4 people to go to Umrah. Nak pergi Umrah ni, dia punya criteria is very tight for this group of people, because we want to make sure that they will get out of the way of life once they go to Umrah. And we are able to give 4, and that is because funds is limited. I think kalau kita ada banyak lagi funds, we can allow a lot more people. These are very important indicators that I hope we will take into consideration when we move forward in trying to show what a Murabbi is all about. So I would not like to steal the thunder from Jamal. So I very much welcome him to this. I think we are in good hands, inshallah. So let's listen to him and let's find out what else that we can learn from COM and our colleagues from Kuantan. And indeed, hari tu there was also University of USIM and also USM has joined into the team. Yeah, and we have got, I think, 6 Indonesians who also joined in the team. So there are many things I think that we can celebrate if we do this well. So I stop there. I congratulate all of you for continuing on this, but let's do this in a way that we can move forward, inshallah. So wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Jamal, halfway I need to leave because there's a guest who wants to talk about Qatar pula. So I may leave for a while. Inshallah, I will come back. Yeah.
Right. Tan Sri.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Now, without further ado, I will now hand over the session to the moderator for today, Dr. Mahyuddin Daud from SDC.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony, Yang Bahagia, Tan Sri, Prof Jamal, and members of this session. My name is Dr. Mahyuddin bin Daud, Director of Sport Development Center. Alhamdulillah, we're able to gather here this afternoon to listen to another round of narrative, exploring narrative for the Sejahtera academic framework. Inshallah, we will be looking into the so-called realm of sports, as I would say, an important framework that completes the Sejahtera academic framework as a whole. Briefly, when we refer to the SAF or Sejahtera academic framework, this is basically a clear testament or a clear indication of the university's commitment to the true nature of education. And as far as when we talk about education itself, this is not just about being in the classroom, but also life beyond classroom, translating what we learn in classroom outside of classroom. And of course, this is an ongoing process as we live. And if we refer to the Sejahtera academic framework, the whole vision and mission as far as sports and recreational extracurricular activities is concerned, this is part and parcel of the non-formal life, not just for, in my opinion, not just for students, but also for all staff, and embracing the framework. So moving on, from that narrative, we hope today we will be able to explore an example of a real-life example of how Sejahtera academic framework is being implemented, is being carried out beyond the classroom, perhaps looking in the sphere of sports, and recreational activities. And we have with us today the distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. Jamalludin Rahman, currently serving as Dean of the Kuliah of Medicine. Prof. Jamal also is a professor in the Department of Community Medicine in IIUM Kuantan campus. Among others, Prof. Jamal graduated from UKM in 1995, and Prof. Jamal has been a consultant in research methods, actively involved in many national surveys. I would say, if I have to read the whole the semua ni memang a very long list of achievements, and I believe that Prof. Jamal is no stranger to us. As far as sports is concerned, because I'm coming from a sports development center, I have to tell everyone what Prof. Jamal did lah, as far as in particular cycling lah. Prof. Jamal is no stranger for those in the sports community, particularly in IIUM. First, he has been a runner-up in the Varsity Cycling Challenge VIP back then, and the second runner-up back then in 2017 and 2018. Prof. Jamal has also participated and became a finisher of 1,200 kilometer Paris-Brest Paris, PBP 2019 in France, and then the Audax Randonneurs, correct me if I'm wrong, Prof, the sebutan itu. Also a finisher, 1,300 kilometer, and recently, Prof, London, Edinburgh, London, LEL 2022 UK, also a finisher in 1,500 kilometer. So very, I would say, very tough and qualified person to talk about endurance cycling today, I would say. And the topic that has been given to Prof is endurance cycling as a reflection of life. And we hope that inshallah our speaker today will be able to share with us what would be the lessons, the reflections behind cycling, and how this can actually motivate us to not just I mean, for the purpose of appreciating SAF as a framework, but at the same time living life, moving towards insan sejahtera. And without further ado, Prof, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me try to share my presentation. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Mahyuddin for a very kind remark. Tan Sri, thank you so much for your also remark. And yes, I really enjoyed your presence yesterday in Keldau. Thank you, Brother Azam, for the MC, and Dr. Azani for the welcoming from KCA. So actually today with me, Tan Sri and members of the university, I also invite my friend, Sister Munirah Hanim Hashim. She was our alumni, and inshallah at the end of my talk, I will give the floor to her so that she can share her view of cycling in a more extraordinary way that changed life. So not only a reflection of life, how cycling can change life. So that is not my part to say. I will reserve the slot to Munirah after this. And Munirah is already in. Jangan lari-lari, Munirah, stay here. We want to listen to you, inshallah, at the end. Okay, let me start by stating regarding endurance cycling. So when I received the invitation, I was a bit anxious for two things. One, it is about sejahtera. And how would someone relate sejahtera and cycling? That is not easy. That's number one. And we even struggle to define sejahtera in academic setting. What more you try to define cycling, and you define sejahtera in cycling, a bit tough. Number two is about Murabbi. My teacher, Prof Tahir, told us as a doctor, when you talk about being Murabbi, means you have to be excellent in two things. One, you must be excellent in medicine. You must be the best in medicine. Second, it must come together. N must be N. You must be the best in Islam. So join together. And for me personally, I define Murabbi as someone, when you look at him, he or she will remind you to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. And then talking about cycling, when I met Tan Sri yesterday, Tan Sri told me when we had our drinks, Tan Sri kata, when I heard about cycling, I remember you, Jamal. So macam mana I want to talk about cycling and bring people towards Allah? When people look at me, people can see bicycle. So these two things is very, very tough for me to say, but I will try my best. Hopefully, I won't go astray. I won't be able. I will be able. I apologize if I won't be able to speak on the real definition of sejahtera and Murabbi. All right, disclaimer. Whatever I'm going to say to you today is not about promoting cycling. I'm not going to promote bicycle. I'm not going to promote brands or myself. I just try to share what I experienced, and along the way that I believe something that make me think and improve myself, especially. Hopefully you are also able to appreciate that. First thing first, why I cycle then? Why I cycle? Why cycling then? Because I was obese last time. That's very simple reason. My body weight getting more than 90 kilos. So somebody somehow reminded me that I need to reduce the weight. So she introduced me to cycling. Why I cycle now? I'm still overweight. That might not be true, but one of the reasons. And this is one fateful night when I started the cycling. It was March in 2010. So the person in front was my wife, is my wife. Okay? And she's the one who actually requested me to start cycling. So we went to the shop, we bought the bikes. I was so surprised to know about the price of the bike then. But the rest is now history. So what my plan to do is, I just want to make some quotations, and then just want to reflect everything with about how cycling can be a reflection to our life. Just like what Albert Einstein mentioned, that life is like riding a bicycle. In order to keep your balance, you must keep moving. For me, this is very, very true. When you cycle, to go forward and to balance yourself, very difficult for someone. Only a skillful person can maintain balance without pedaling. You must be very skillful to do that. But for many people, Life is about moving forward. It's just also like driving a car when occasionally you look at the rear mirror, but your direction, you are steering forward. So, and then for cycling, it is even more significant because if you stop cycling, you will fall. So cycling is about that. And secondly, life is like a 10-speed bicycle, said Charles Schultz here. Most of us have gears we never use. It shows that when we want to move forward in our life, there are many, many things that we never realize that we are able to do so. There are many things. Sometimes we focus our life only in area that we know, we're familiar with. We are very scared to attempt new skill set, new adventure, new life, something new. We simply limit ourselves. Just like my own personal quotation that I like the most is limitation. Your limitation is your imagination. So we limit only ourselves. So when we believe that we can't do things, we don't do anything, so we can't move forward. So in life, it is about that. So in cycling, of course, nowadays we have more than 10 speed. We have 12, 13 speeds gear. But every time we cycle, we only use one gear. But through cycling, let's say if you are climbing, you will use the lighter gear so that you can climb better. So just like in life, we have many options sebenarnya, actually. So therefore, it's very important for us to choose the right gear for certain tasks that we do in our life. So that is what cycling somehow can teach us. And while we do things in our life, it is not something, I mean, life is not always good things. That at times we might fall. Just like crashing in cycling is part of just like crying as part of love. So crashing is a part of cycling, just as crying as part of love. That was me in 2012 when I fell down. So until today, I can't remember what happened to me. I know that after that, I stood up, I cycled another 10 kilo before my friends stopped me. But I can't remember until today, I got retrograde amnesia. So crashing is something common in cycling. But the message here is that in life is not always beautiful. There are times that you have to fall, but more important than that is you have to stand up and move forward. And according to Mario Cipollini, he's one of the great sprinter, Italian pro cyclists. He said that if you break, you don't win. So when we want to move, there are times that we might feel not confident of ourselves. We start to doubt ourselves. We start to slow down. This is something that not the spirit or the true formula for winning. So again, in cycling, in race, example like what mentioned by Cipollini here, that if you want to go fast, you go fast. You don't really stop. And according to Jens Voigt, this is another cyclist, former pro cyclist. He said, if you go with the brake, okay, this is something that for non-cyclists, you might not be able to understand this term. When you cycle in the pro racing, if you ever watch a cycling race, a bicycle race, so sometimes you can see somebody in front. I mean, let's say the 200-kilometer race, the first 20 kilometers, suddenly 4 or 5 people form a group and break away from the peloton, the main group. But the rest do not really chase them. This is what we call a breakaway. So according to Jens Voigt, if you go with the break, you can either win or you may not win. But if you never go for a break, you won't definitely win. So if you stay in the peloton and you can't really fight with the rest, you won't be able to win. There is no chance at all. So he's known to be known to win so many combative awards, Jens Voigt here. So in our life, if we want to achieve something excellent, something extraordinary, we have to take the risk. We have to do what we like the most and what we believe can benefit us and benefit the university. That's why if we play just like now in my faculty, for example, when I told my specialist, I said, you can't simply be a specialist. You must be the specialist. Not, and then when you claim yourself to be a clinical specialist, you should not, everybody else should recognize as a specialist. For that, you must be really excellent. You must try something not been done before. You must, and then, for example, like in research, we normally, during the recent methodology workshop, I asked a few young clinicians when they took up this research methodology course, I asked, can you please tell me truthfully, do you think that research is important? Most of them said no, because they believe that being a doctor, clinician is far more important than doing research. They said this is just wasting their time. But I told them, when you become a doctor, when you want to treat somebody, you must rely on certain treatment. So normally from where you get all this treatment? From papers presented or written by this Mat Saleh, these Westerners. Where is the product coming from us? They may produce something which is good, but maybe only good for them. Maybe good for big pharma, but not good for us. Example like drugs for cancer treatment. It costs us hundreds and thousands of ringgit to treat one cancer patient. For example, like recently, our specialists realized that the treatment, if we can halve the dose give to the patient, it can give quite similar benefit, can prolong the similar quality of life after the treatment, but half of the dose. We approach the company, obviously the company did not agree. So we have to do what? We have to approach different society, Malaysian Thoracic Society, to get some fund for us to do the research so that we can prove that with half the dose of their drugs, we can still treat our patient. How we do this? Because we want to go with the break. We try to go against the stream. So quite similar in cycling, quite similar in many races. We must take the risk. If we take the risk, we may win. We cannot win. But if we never take the risk, definitely we cannot achieve anything. That's part of it. And while doing so, we will endure. We will be challenged by so many circumstances. So that's why Bruce Lee mentioned that do not pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. So we can't be hoping for something good happen towards all the way in our life until we die. But we have to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so that Allah, whatever that Allah tests us, we are able to pass the test. That's the most important of all. So this is a picture of myself during the London, Edinburgh, London. This is one of the stretch when going back towards London. So I have to stop here because I simply cannot cycle anymore because it's already 17% gradient. And with that bag behind on my bike, this is already the third day of the cycling. I have no energy left, so I have to stop and rest. And this for cyclists is a nightmare. 17% is very tough. It's very steep gradient, and most of us have to push our bike rather than cycle it. So, regardless what terrain that we are facing, most important is moving forward. And this is actually myself. This is one of my first 600 kilometer. Don't worry, I'm still alive until today. So this is not me falling, but this is basically, I was so tired. It was 2 a.m. in the morning. This is a Central Spline Road. They just newly opened from Gua Musang to Lipis. I was so tired. I just simply sleep anywhere I like. So my partner snapped a photo of me. So endurance is not about ability to endure. Endurance is about ability to endure. And for your information, that's 80% psychological. My point now is entering endurance cycling. And it is how it is very important for all of us in our life, regardless where we are, regardless what we do in life, that our mental, as I mentioned just now, limitation is imagination. Our imagination, our mental barrier, our mental block are the one that normally stop us from proceed, from move on. So most of the time, even now, when we talk about life as academician, life as a student, I know there are some of my students here. Most of the time, whether we can go boleh or tidak boleh, whether we can do or we can't do, most of the time they are mental. We are the one who limit ourselves. Not so much of our ability, but the way we think of ourselves. Do you find this as, for me, I find it very, very important. So everything that we do, whether in science, whether in teaching, whether in our life, so that's very much dependent on what we think we are. So before I proceed into detail about endurance cycling, I want to introduce to you what's endurance cycling that normally involve. Endurance cycling means it's a long distance, or sometimes people call it ultra distance. How many kilometers is long, how many kilometers is ultra is very subjective. I mean, we're not going to go into detail about that. But most often is that this event is self-supported and self-sufficient. So meaning to say that you have to rely on your own to repair the bike. You must rely on your own to navigate the ways. And then when I said self-supported, self-sufficient, normally they will give you, there are two kind of event. The one that you initiated yourself, we call it DIY, or a properly organized event. Even in a properly organized event, sometimes they fix the route or they can open the route. They just give you the destination and ask yourself to cycle through all the controls. So there are many events in the world. In Malaysia, we have Odex Rendener Malaysia. They organized Les Rendener Mondial last year, so 1,300 kilometers, the first in Malaysia. And we have the famous transcontinental race, more than 4,000 kilometers. From the last one was from Bulgaria, from Belgium to Bulgaria. And we have Trans-American Bike Race. And we have in Australia, Indian Pacific Wheel Race, something like 4,000 kilometers. We have London, Edinburgh, London, the one I just completed. We have Paris, Brest, Paris, 1,200 kilometers. We have in Japan, 2,300 kilometers. We also have recently in Indonesia, Indonesia just picked up this event, 1,200. And for your information, IIUM also, we have organized one event in 2019 before COVID, 1,200. From all, we connect all the campuses in IIUM. And the grandfather of all ultra is Trans-Canada Bike Race, 12,564 kilometers. So this is ultra being ultra. I'm not sure whether I'm able to even do this one, but yes, as I mentioned to you, limitation is imagination. All right, before I proceed, I just want you to listen carefully. The sound is not so clear. This is someone completed the Bentang Java ride. So she is a female, ladies.
Saya pelajari dari event ini adalah bersepeda tidak harus selalu mengalahkan teman, mengalahkan lawan, tapi bahkan mengalahkan diri sendiri. Dan itu adalah resep supaya kita bisa lulus dari tantangan ini.
So that's one of the participants of 1,200 Odex in Java recently. So basically, endurance is about fighting yourself. So to start with, let's just want to share with you how you start any long distance, any endurance, which is similar to whatever we do in our life. First of all, we have to plan. This is what I'm showing you is the plan I did for London, Edinburgh, London. The plan must be very detailed. So this is the plan. So I jotted down all the 20 controls. I must prepare the total distance. And then this is, for example, the first 100 kilometers. What are the elevation like? And then what speed I think I can do. So normally I will arrive at what time? For your information, the first 3 checkpoints until Luth, around 240 kilometers, I arrive exactly according to the time. Exactly according to the time. However, my condition was not. I was so tired, maybe because of jet lag as well. I have to sleep here. My plan is to sleep in the next stop. But my point here is just want to tell you that whatever we do in life, we have to plan. And even in cycling like this, in a very long distance like this, you must gauge your timing and you must know your body condition. Unfortunately, despite me planning like this, I already almost failed on the first day. On the second day, by right, if I completed the second day, I should arrive at Moffat, 647 kilometers. For your information, I only arrived at 480 kilometers in the second day. only 480 from 650 kilometer my target. So I would like to show you you to listen. I never shared this moment with anyone before, but I remember this very well because I remember about a German marshal who said that no plan survived contact with the enemy. So I did a very good plan, but the plan did not really work out very well. So this is what I said to myself.
Pemandangan menuju ke benda kasa daripada Malta. Ya. Tak pasti sama ada saya boleh habis ke tak LAL ni sebab very tough. Day 2 is very tough. Lagi 70 kilo tapi tak sampai-sampai lagi 10 kilo ambil masa 2 jam. Banyak menolak daripada naik basikal. Saya tak pasti sama ada day 3 lebih baik ataupun dia. Hai. So saya cuba esok. Kalau teruk sangat, I have to call a quit. I don't like to do that kind of decision, tapi memang terlalu sangat.
I just want to tell you that's how I felt in day 2. I almost quit because it was very tough. Never I imagined the situation to be like that. It was so tough for me. I thought that UK can give me a colder weather. I always don't like hot weather. Even in Malaysia, I can't stand. But unfortunately, we have a heat wave in UK during that time. So weather definitely not helping me during that time. So, but we must realize that tough time never lasts, but tough people do. So this is myself during Paris-Brest Paris, the first halal shop we encounter on day 3. So we try to eat as much as possible, try to sleep everywhere that we can. So basically, the thing that which is very fortunate for me is that during the flight from Malaysia, from Kuala Lumpur to London, I spent all the 13 hours reading this book, written by Ian Walker. It's about the story about determination, about being vulnerable and yet not surrendering. This is a very important word that he said. It never always gets worse. That's his statement. Let us be honest. Sometimes when times are hard, the next thing that happens is that it gets even harder. One setback follows another, and then there's another setback on top of that. But it never always gets worse. Again, he mentioned that. If you can just wait it out, if you can just keep going, no matter how slow or messy you look, as you do so, eventually things will turn around. That's true in everyday life as well. So he started as ultra runner. He ended up as a ultra cyclist and broke the record cycling from North Cape to Tarifa, 6,300 kilometers in 16 days. He's still holding the record until today. So that rewards really pushed me on, so much so that eventually, alhamdulillah, I'm able to complete. Somehow, I can tell you on the day 3, I really remind me a lot. Just like everybody, sometimes people have their thinking chair. When you want to think, you sit on that chair, you plan what you want to do that day or that week or that month or that year. You think, or someone just use a paper and thinking pen. For me, I think a lot when I cycle. So during that moment, I only remember Allah and just make dua that Allah SWT give me the strength. So whatever the condition is, for me, you have to endure regardless the condition of the terrain. So this is one of the situation when we have to go through a landslide in Genting Sempah. So you can't cycle, but you can carry your bike. So more important is that you have to try your best to circumnavigate everywhere. And we have to remember, despite all the planning that we do, the best planner is still Allah SWT. This is myself in Mersing, thinking why I was doing all these things, because it's rolling. And the pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expect it to change, the realist adjust the sails. For your information, the food in Paris or anywhere after 3 days of cycling is never be good. The best food is always at home. So I can't really eat their baguette. This is so hard. I can't tolerate their spaghetti in Paris. So what I did, I prepared the Campbell mushroom soup. I bought 1 pound hot water and then I eat with the bread. So that's how me survive. So basically what this adventure taught me is that there are things you can't change. There are things you cannot change. Example, like nowadays, if you are looking at the buildings in my kuliah, there are a lot of things I cannot do because without money, you can't do anything. You can, of course, you have to try to get some money. Yes. Meanwhile, what you should do? So if you keep on waiting and waiting, complaining and all the time, you can't make things work, things move. So you must try the best, but of course, the outcome may not be perfect, but at least you move forward, even though it is small, how messy you are, according to Ian Walker, as long as you move forward and the direction is forward. So regardless the condition, we try our best to move forward. And regarding ODEX, very important about ODEX that they have this control point. You can see here, this is control. You have every control you go, you have to chop a sticker, and then they will measure your time. Okay, so in ODEX, they might not be people who watch you all the time. Therefore, for me, integrity is important in this kind of event. Similar in our life. Nowadays, people complain. Example like smoking in restaurant. People blaming the government do not have enough enforcement. Why we need enforcement? Because we do not have integrity in our life. Why we need people to watch over us? Because we ourselves do not have the integrity. That's why I heard from Ustaz says that many people who enter Jahannam because why? Because of the sins they do when they are alone. Integrity of yourself. If you have the strong faith of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will do good deeds everywhere you go, or whenever you are, whether you are with people or without people. And eventually, whatever we do in life, we have to turn that into glory, into something which is beneficial. So Alhamdulillah for myself regarding London and Liberal London, eventually on day 3, 4, 5, somehow I can tell you, for those who have seen my video, I can tell you that on day 3, somehow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me the strength, not myself. I did not eat well. I don't have the strength, but suddenly I can cycle very well. I can catch up all those deficits I have. Eventually, I finish within the cut of time. So altogether, London and London, the distance is 1,540 kilometers. I did it in 122 hours. The cut-off time is 128 hours. Alhamdulillah, I managed to do it. And this was the medal. So I would like to summarize before I give this avenue to Munira. In our life, we should plan. Everybody should have a plan of life. Plan can be short-term, can be long-term. Plan with your family, plan about your career. Look into the world. But expect and prepare for changes. There are changes along the way. Prepare for it. Number 2, when we plan for it, when we create our dream, never limit ourselves, because limitation is our own imagination. Number 3, when we prepare the plan, endure and persevere. Number 4, we may not get everything that we plan for in life. That's the truth. So I remembered when I did my in Malaysian cohort study in 2005, Prof Rahman Jamal, not Jamal Rahman, Prof Rahman Jamal, pediatrician, told us that perfection is the enemy of the good. So we plan, we do the best that we can. Very rarely we get everything done perfectly. We never expect perfection, and we tried our best, but never expect perfection. And lastly, whatever we do, Allah is the best planner. Allah is the sustainer, not ourselves. I think that's all from me. I told Dr. Mahyuddin that I would like to defer our Q&A until the end, until Munira give her speech, because I would like to request Sister Munira. We never introduce her. I would request Munira to introduce yourself. It's about her journey, her family journey, and her special child journey, Uzair, in cycling. So Munira, I hope you are ready. So ready, Munira?
Yes,
All right.
Okay, all right. I share my screen, yeah?
Yeah, please.
All right. Give me a minute. It's been a while since I used Zoom. So figuring out how do I share my, oh, who's disabled participant screen sharing? I need permission for that, please.
Boleh bagi Munirah permission untuk ni.
Okay. Share screen. All right. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. You kena share.
I think I dah. Alamak.
Could you share different screen? Dekat share screen warna hijau tu. Make sure you choose your slide. You dah display belum your slide?
Yeah, I dah display my slide.
Okay, where do you click the share screen warna green tu?
Yes, I did.
Okay, nampak tak options kan? You pilih.
Aswazin. Right. One participant can share or multiple participants can share.
Bukan tu. You kena klik yang button terus. Atas tu, klik button
Okay,
terus.
all right. Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much, Prof. Dr. Jamal, for the introduction. I feel that you're being too kind. Sebab pula when you said that on how cycling changes our life, especially our family. It is really an honor when Prof contacted me to inform of this speech that Uzai came up on his mind. As an alumni, I was graduated, I think 2005 in kuliah of IRKHS. I did psychology. So it's definitely, a platform that I feel small here, where we have professors and doctors, mashallah. IIUM is always dear to me. I am definitely not a Murabbi, but I am a mother. So that's the closest I can be to be a Murabbi, a mother. So I can still remember clearly when my lecturer, Dr. Haryati, asked the class about our ambition, whether we want to be clinical psychology or industrial psychology or along that line. But I confidently say that I wanted to be a housewife. I remember clearly the shock of Dr. Haryati's face. In fact, he said, oh, I was actually wanting to give you, if you want to do master, the form. I said, no, I just want to get married and I want to be a housewife. So it sounds very macam not ambitious, but alhamdulillah, it brings us quite far now where we are. So this is, well, I achieved my ambition. This is my family. I have 4 kids, Harith, Atira, they are twins, and Uzai and Uwais. I gave birth to Harith and Atira. They were premature for 26 weeks. They were actually triplets, but one didn't make it. And then 13 months later, I gave birth to Uzair. He is autistic. He was officially diagnosed when he was 3 years, severe autistic and ADHD. And I had Uwais came along when 3 years later. So basically, I had 4 kids below the age of 4. So whatever you imagine, and when you hear that, I can guarantee that there were times when it was harder than what you could possibly imagine, but there were also times that were more fun and cheerful that you could possibly imagine. But we are here to talk about Uzai, the one in white, the one who has taught us how to walk our own path, who taught us that the road less traveled might be scary and uncertain, but it could also lead to great and wonderful things, mashallah. So yeah, this is Uzai, diagnosed at 3 years. Yeah, officially diagnosed at 3 years. So just now, doctor was saying like how he started cycling because of obesity. So same goes to my husband. That's how he started cycling. And as much as we expect inclusivity among the public with autism child, so we start that at home first with our children. So whenever we bring one out for activity, we include all 4 together. Sorry, Gamba, one of the girls being cropped out here. So when the dad said, I want to go cycling, I need to lose weight, I can't run because of my big size, I might injure my knee, I think ACL and things like that. So he said, okay, let's try cycling. So that's when he brought the kids. This is the first almost 6 kilometers, which took about half an hour. And now if half an hour, I think Uzai can do 15 kilometers, inshallah. So that's how it started. It's all because of obesity. All right. So this is the video that I did from Instagram. So I thought I just might share it here. How Uzai is now. Is it playing? Tak eh?
Takut connection link tak proper.
Alamak. If that's the case, I will just have to go look through here. Kejap eh. Excuse the mess of my.
Kena
Sorry,
reshare.
dah lama tak buat presentation. So this is what I. Oh dear. Could this be it?
Tapi tak nampak dia punya video. You have to reshare those because dia keluar tempat lain.
Oh, okay, all right.
If we came across our family at our favorite mama these days,
You can share
whatever MCO we're at now,
Kejap
you
ya.
will see a pretty normal.
Trying to stop the sharing first.
Dah stop dah.
Oh dear.
It's okay, don't worry.
Where's my Zoom? I'm so sorry.
Dekat YouTube ke?
Allah Akbar.
Ada link dia. I can, okay. All right. You kena share the
Nampak tak?
apa?
If we came across our family at our favorite mama these days, pre whatever MCO we're at now, you would see a pretty normal family. Kids eating, maybe a bit loud cause we have a little problem with our internal volume controls, but pretty normal. Then as we get up to leave, maybe you'll see one of our kids mini jumping while he waits with his dad to pay at the cashier. You'll see him sort of clapping and you will think, weird kid, or why can't he keep still? But he's autistic would probably not be high up on the list of things going through your mind. And this is huge progress to us. This is where we are at this leg of the journey. This was not our reality just a few years ago, but we envision today. We visualize this through the tantrums, through the desperate times, and through the times we felt like hope was thinning. We did not stop trying, and we did not lose faith that we could find something that was Uzai's calling, his outlook, his place of joy, his place of peace. We are not done. We envision more for him. We hope for independence, for communication, for achieving everything he wants and is capable of. And we will continue on this journey with this loving and encouraging community we are so lucky to call ours. If you're struggling and watching this, you know that today may not be reality of the rest of your life. Let's take it one day at a time.
All right, that is Uzai now. So commonly, what I get is people will say, oh, you're lucky because autism is a spectrum. He falls under the higher spectrum. No, he definitely didn't fall under that spectrum. He was diagnosed with severe autism, in which we didn't know, we were clueless what to do. In fact, I think the hardest point when we had was he was in a way playing with his najis because of sensory issues. So he put his hand in the diapers, and then, you know, when the najis in the hand, he smushed everything away just to clean off his hands. So I had to be creative with my other kids. I say, hey, let's do a treasure hunt versus poop. So every day when that happened, when we smell it, we go like, poop, smell. And the kids will be running around, cherry if there's a poop. And they're like, mommy, I found it. I say, okay, you're the winner for today. So we just had to be creative and come up with something like that. So that is how Uzair is before. So orang tak tahu what actually we went through, where in fact, we lose him a number of times, not just once, but and then I remember my auntie actually went on a lorry just to find him because my auntie nampak he somehow managed to escape the gate, and then my auntie said, saw the gardener cakap, did you see a boy? And they cakap, yeah, there's a boy who went that way. So he was far off, in fact, with a bicycle tayar pancit, and alhamdulillah we found him. So those are the things that are the challenges that we have. And I would like to share a video of Uzair before. Let me just cari kejap since it was not linked properly. Not sure how that happened. Zoom. I am so sorry. Yeah, this one.
I am not sure if I have shared this before, but I was fortunate to have studied psychology, which was always my first choice. So perhaps Allah planned for this and prepared me in a way. With the eldest two being very premature, they too had a set of difficulties. A bit of speech delay, which improved upon entering preschool. So, although Uzair was full-term, we thought the same could be possible. So when we sent him for preschool at 19 months, we were still expecting some improvement. After all, he had eye contact. But what we saw instead was textbook. We saw signs of stimming, repetitive movements, knocking together 2 cups again and again, opening and closing the Vicks bottle again and again. This, of course, in tandem with the other sensory issues that I believe we have shared before. But no textbook could ever prepare me for the diagnosis from his developmental bits. No matter how much your rational brain knows, your heart is a complete different story. I read a poem once. Having an autistic child is like planning to go to Paris, learning French, and imagining yourself walking the cobblestones, eating French pastries, and admiring art, but ending up in Netherlands instead. But Netherlands is also beautiful. It was not what we had imagined, not what we planned for, but Netherlands is also beautiful. We might not have known and understood the language, and we mostly still don't, but we are open and we know that Netherlands is not and never will be less. It is simply different.
So yeah, that's the how Uzair was before, with the crying, tantrum, meltdowns. We go through that at least 5 times a day, you know, where he went missing. I remember we searching for him at the house, and then the next door helper jerit, "Bu, ada di sini, Bu, sedang makan." So apparently he often escaped to our neighbor next door to have his meals, which was quite embarrassing because we didn't know that until after a while that he has been doing it. So let me continue with my slide. So you may or not be familiar with Uzair, but he is quite loved with the cycling community. He's currently listed in the Malaysian Book of Record as the youngest superengineer 2019, where he completed the 200, 300, 400 kilometer and 600 kilometer in a 1 year period. So cycling has become the answer we didn't know we needed. What started with what I said is now, the dad was obese. His annual checkup that he needed to lose weight. So they started cycling around the neighborhood and drag all the kids, and it became a space where Uzai shined. He just wanted to cycle more and more, and they were even cycling into KL from our home in Damansara, which was not enough apparently. So we started to do research. We looked into long distance cycling and slowly joined fun rides. PJ Fun Ride is I think about 30 kilometer, and then he wanted more. So then we found Kayuhan Rekreasi Setia Alam. It was 77 kilometer, where they went through the Dragon Back, and he was cycling, and we had adults who were pushing the bicycles. And then we found Odex. So we started doing his first Odex 100 kilometer. If I'm not mistaken, you need to complete 100 kilometer in 7.5 hours. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So when he was done, he was still cycling around the parking area. So basically he was still not done. So we joined more and more. So we were like, hey, what are his limits? You know, my husband and I were discussing what is his limit, how much is enough. We don't know. So our longest ride was recently we did 1,000 kilometer in 75 hours. It was definitely tough ride for all the other adults. So I'm sure most probably it was tough for him too. But Alhamdulillah, we, like just now Prof Kamal said, that the timing, sleeping and all is crucial. So instead of like adults, it's easy for them to take a nap here and there, but we can't do it with him. We make sure we have a solid 4 to 5 hours a day where we check in the nearest hotel and we get him a proper shower and proper sleep instead of short nap. So that was definitely not easy for me, the mother. So, but 2 days later, after he completed his 1,000, he was already pointing to bicycle. We were at the park, he wanted to rent a bike. Yeah, that's him on the background. So basically this is him. You can see the joy of him cycling. The only thing is that he makes sounds. He steams a lot, you know, when he cycles. So he just, you know, ta ta ta. Whenever he overtake people, he make that sound. So those, because physically he looks normal, so people tak tahu that he's autistic. So we do get people upset and angry at him, no, ada yang macam, you know, things like that. So we try not to take that into heart because I'm sure they don't know that of Uzai's condition. So how does cycling improve our lives exactly? You remember the video tadi I showed? So when he was 6 years old, development suggested that we start him on medication, Ritalin to be exact. Alamak, cakap dengan doktor kan, takut pula. But that was for his hyperactivity. But I remember telling the doctor that, doctor, can you please let me try everything that the world has to offer before we start on drugs? Because my concern is I was worried that once we start on it, he might be dependent on the for life. So I said, I'm not saying no to it, but let me try everything first. So kalau dah tak ada jalan, okay, we'll get back to this discussion. So we did try many things before he started cycling. He started cycling when he was 9 years old. So just a few months back, we had our semi-annual checkup with the dermatologist, and she couldn't believe it was the same boy who pushed the doctor, and the doctor almost jatuh from her chair. The same boy is actually sitting calmly in front of her. And then I remember clearly the doctor said, Munira, what did you do? And then I look at my husband and I said, we cycle. And doctor tu punya muka macam, yes, I want to hear that from your own mouth. I totally agree with you. So of course, there's a lot of netizens saying that macam, oh tak, parents tu nak glam, dia suruh anak dia kayu beratus-ratus kilometer. The parents just out of their mind. But only if you cycle with him, you can see his laughter, his smiles. He looks up and down, left and right, pokok, everything. Is only those who cycle with him understand what he's going through. In fact, now we can now sit at the restaurant to have our meals while he eat calmly. And in fact, now kita orang kena tunggu dia habis makan because I guess he's too calm. He takes instructions better, even able to do house chores. We get him to throw the garbage. He has to turun lift and get back up. There was once he was stuck in the lift, but alhamdulillah, we managed to get him out. And we realized that what happened was that on the road, where there are lots of risks, many risks, Uzai had no choice but to communicate with us, because of the danger and things, the traffic and all. So that he had no choice to communicate with the dad and the other guardians who cycled with him. So this interaction slowly brought him out from his own bubble, which is typically autistic behavior, into our world. Cycling on the road, it served as a bridge for him and us. So the following are some of the sharings that I would like to share on what the teachers and therapists via our casual conversation, as I always try to keep our why in our head on Uzai's joy and happiness. Because since Uzai is I would say he's non-verbal, basically. He needs lots of prompting, and because he has dyspraxia, so his clarity of words is not there. So we honestly don't know if we are pushing him too hard or otherwise. So other than closely observing him, we always make sure to ask people around him, his team off saddle, whether are we pushing him too much. But kids being kids, yang tadi foto yang Prof tunjuk, you had to lalu Genting Sepak. So there was a puddle of water. It said, Uzai, water. Oh, instead of not pijak on the puddle, he actually went splap, and then he patah balik and just to do it again splap. Kids being kids, I guess. So yeah, basically he's having fun lah. So his special education teacher, who has been with him since he was 6, up until to this day, he was actually saying that she was having some problem, dia macam Uzai, figuring what to teach Uzai. Dia dah plateau, don't know what activities to do to Uzai. He was forgetting numbers that he already learned, but I could see a direct correlation when he started cycling. That's what exactly the teacher said. He was more focused in class and making really good progress. In fact, his speech therapy said that he is more responsive and his cerebral strength has improved. Immediately after the 1,000 kilometer in Odex, his speech sequencing got better, linking more words to become longer sentences. I remember I was making a joke. I said, I told the father, I think you can about it 2,000, maybe he can start doing public speaking after 2,000 kilometer. So, and then his swimming teacher, his swimming coach said immediately after the 1,000, like right immediate, he finished cycle on that Sunday, and then Thursday he was his swimming lesson. He could start much longer while swimming. His usual issue is his one side of his leg is a bit weak. Suddenly, it was no longer an issue. His breaststroke was more balanced on both sides of his body. So based on all those comments and remarks that I received from the teacher, I really took to heart what his speech therapy said, told to me, in which cycling is a therapy for Uzai. Does he enjoy his, I remember the therapy checkup, does he enjoy his 3 times weekly speech therapy sessions? Probably not. So is cycling 1,000 tough for him? Yes, maybe, probably. But if it is a therapy and if it's good for him, and more importantly, he enjoys the most part of it, why shouldn't he be doing it? Regardless, netizen nak kecam kata, the parents are overdoing it and all. But if it produces amazing result, we can say that cycling is therapy. In fact, the speech therapy met dia punya occupational therapy, and he was like recapping on Uzai. So she came to a conclusion. Dia cakap macam, need to tell parents, you don't come here once a week and expect magic to happen. Uzai cycled last year almost 11,000 kilometers last year. So that is how much, I think it's all muscle memory and things like that you require a lot. So we can't do like once a week and expect magic to happen. So going back to what was it? Endurance cycling as a reflection of life. I would say cycling has given us new life. Alhamdulillah. It gives us an endeavor that we embark on as a family. The siblings, mashallah, they play a major role in our journeys as well. The siblings are at every of the event that Uzai goes to. They help prep him, help out with his gear on food during break time, so that the dad can bernafas. And not to mention on long trips together, we are not support car where we tail them. No, we are not escort car, but we wait at checkpoints. Or if the dad said we're gonna have a lunch at about 170 kilometers, go ahead and we'll meet you there. So we will be there. And then first thing first, the siblings will take Uzai and bring for toilet break and all that. I remember the first few rides, I always tell the dad, Papa, how's Uzai? And the dad's like, you don't ask about Uzai, you ask about me. Uzai has been laughing away with daddy. I'm catching my breath. So yes, Alhamdulillah, he is actually enjoying. This photo here is on his recent 1,000 kilometer, where he did in 75,000, going towards the finishing line. So yeah, and it's actually, you know, for us, I didn't know Malaysia is mashallah, such beautiful. We lalu, where was it? Sikh and Padu, and we were just enjoying the nature. It's just mashallah beautiful. And this is him during the Malaysia Book of Record. So our concern was, developers cakap, Uzai need to be in school because we need socializing for him. I was telling the doctor that it may be wasting his time and my time because I don't know how much learning will take in progress because he's neither here nor there. We tried sending a few schools, but he's not talking, so they are hunted to lower class, which is like sorting colors, you know, shapes and all. So we said, no, he has graduated from there. So that's why we decided we are not going to waste his time doing those basic things. So, and then the recent doctor appointment, I remember the doctor said, he's socializing very well. He has a group of friends, and through cycling, Uzai found his own community that dotes on him. And when he turned 14 last July, we had a celebratory ride and food after. And this was the amount of number of people came for the cycling. They did 40 kilometer. This was honestly his first real birthday party. It has been a journey we could never imagine it being on, but I would say this is the best of not giving up. One of the therapists pernah cakap to us, a child will always have hope until the parents give up. So of opening up yourself to uncharted territories and taking the leap and trusting in Allah, Alhamdulillah, this is basically like tadi Prof cakap, it's a life-changing. It brings us closer to Allah. So if people cakap macam, you know, we were being punished getting anak disabled. No, it brings us closer together as a family, closer to Allah. And I pray for all of us, may you find your own path to walk on to. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, that's the end of my story.
Okay, thank you so much, Munira. So I think I would like to hand over the session then to Dr. Mahyuddin balik. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Jamal and Puan Munira. I think wonderful sharing of life stories. I mean, cycling is not just cycling, but you basically live such a wonderful life, and we learn a lot. And I thank you, both of you, very much for you know, sharing with us this personal story that actually can be reflected. And these are some of the things that you know, moving forward we learn, and through these are the things that makes us hopefully insan sejahtera, as what as has been said by in the SAF, yeah? And with that, I invite members of the those who attend this session, yeah? If you have anything to say, if you have perhaps you want to share some of your experience, if you have questions, just you have two options here. Either you can talk directly and open up your mic and you can engage with our two esteemed speakers here. But if you feel more comfortable typing your chats, you are also welcome to do so, and inshallah I'll give your comments to read. Yeah. I'm actually looking at the chat link, the chat box at the moment, and thank you to members who have shared your comments here. One comment from Dr. Aslam, dear Prof. Jamal and dear Uzair and Puan Munira, his mother, that's a lot of paddling. Not only you did do in your race, but you showed us that a true Murabbi should be paddling towards the end. though our end is not visible to us yet, I feel blessed today, and I pray that you stay blessed always. I mean, inshallah. And right, yeah, I basically open the floor for comments and engagement from the members. Anyone? Tapi while waiting for the comments, I know this cycling addicts ni. If you can share with me, how much have you spent for your bikes?
Tak payah rahsia.
Okay, rahsia.
I think for your information, to tell you the truth, I've been cycling, for example, Paris, London, Edinburgh, London. I myself sometimes believe that a good bike is important, right? Good bike is important, but not the best bike. The best bike should be yourself, sebenarnya. So, I'm not just being modest here, but seriously, I look at the bicycles in these thousands of kilometers ride. Their bicycles are just steel or with the mudguard flap, or all those things, which is quite heavy, but yet they are able, because it is when you cycle for endurance, it's not for speed, it is for being comfortable on the bike. So being comfortable is more. If you want me to answer technical, I can answer very technical, but basically to stay on the bike, you have to be very comfortable. I believe even Uzair himself has to gone through a lot of bike fitting. There's expert looking after the body posture and the way he pedal. And until, I think, Muira, you have to correct me if I'm wrong. I think until today, Uzair not able to control the gear himself, right?
Oh, he started doing that already.
Oh, dah boleh buat dah.
So yeah, he's shifting his gear. So for the 600 and 1000, he was doing on his own.
That's
So
great.
what we do is when you have to shift to a heavier gear, we say right, and then when it's to the lower gear, we say left.
Oh,
So the father will show signal. So that was when the dad got cramp, because every time nak kena angkat tangan kanan tu, you know. So yeah, and when he cycles, he look left and right, so he doesn't look at the hand. So yeah, but alhamdulillah, he started shifting gear. But we are planning to go for Paris, but we're not sure whether below 18 what it is like.
Yeah.
Because we believe they have a separate program for below 18. It may not be the same. And our concern is again the food. So they don't have roti canai there. That is Uzai's power bar.
Yeah.
And
We are commission next year
is
is our because Paris Brest Paris is every 4 years, it's something like Olympic. In fact, Paris Brest Paris is the impetus of Tour de France sebenarnya. So for your information, if you cycle from Paris to Brest and return, they say that almost every house along the way have at least one member of the house participated in Paris Brest Paris. That's 100 years old event. And I've been there in 2019. I think Mira planned for Uzair as well to go for 1,200. Macam kita kata convocation lah for the ultra distance. But I think, yeah, I mean that's a main concern lah, whether
the food and the logistic, and also is left-hand drive. So we are afraid that, because we did one cycle in Canada. So the next thing that I hear is people honking because the anak is on the other side of the road.
All right.
Yeah, he knows we're talking about him.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. And I recall Prof Jamal in your slides now, you mentioned about life is like a 10-speed bike, 10-speed bike gear, which most of us does not use. And I think I would like to link this to the interesting question given by our attendee Emilia Muhammad Ramli. How do you teach that competition is not about winning, but it's the process that matters? Perhaps any of you can address this one.
That's okay. I believe that's true for all races sebenarnya, even though you might not win podium, the first top 3 example, but every experience you participated in the race will definitely mature you and teach you something, even when you are losing. Of course, if actual race, of course, you should aim for winning because the title is a race. But for myself, Uzair, for example, the parents, our aim for myself, even for myself, our aim is not to become the first to arrive at destination, but it is about how to, if you are talking about competition, you have to compete with yourself. So yes, I agree, when you participate, you don't really look into one objective, like Dr. Mahyuddin mentioned about gear. It's not always about one gear. There are many more gears that you can utilize. So there are many purposes of life. There are many reasons for you to do certain things. So yes, I totally agree that even in competition, winning is not the only objective of your involvement. I agree.
Thank you, Prof.
I would like to add.
Yeah.
Just now, Prof mentioned on integrity. So that is really a big lesson for my other children, because sadly, adults, we have to say some of them is without integrity, because we witness ourselves where they naik kereta and then they get off at the next checkpoint and they continue cycling. So my kids in the car, they actually questioned, said, "Mommy, why are the adults are doing that? Why are they cheating? What are they trying to prove just to put on the Instagram?" So that is, a conversation that we create in the car, and we talk more details of integrity in life, on what's the purpose of you doing things. It's not about winning, but it is within yourself. You do it and you compete. Next one, maybe you do better than what you have done previously. For example, Uzai's average speed was about 25 km per hour, but alhamdulillah, when he did his 1000, it was almost 30 km per hour. So those are the things that we want, improvement within ourselves. So we keep on talking that with my other children, because they witness themselves. Ada seorang tu, in fact, we nampak motor tolak the bicycle. They're like, "Mommy, what are they doing?" So that's part of the thing that we can pick up and kupaskan dengan our other children.
Thank you. Perhaps any other questions or responses?
Diorang kena kaya dulu, baru ada soalan.
I see Prof. Abdul Aziz Bergaud. I'm starting to summon people now. Prof. Siapa lagi dalam ni? Ramai dalam ni. Maybe if you want to say something. I think it's not just about cycling here, but the message that we send across. Yeah, Prof. Murni is in the house. Dr. Karima, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, I want to stress again, even though myself and Munira talk about cycling, bicycle, but our aim is not about bicycle. It's about you reflect we reflect on our life. So whatever we do. So these are the lessons learned that I believe can reflect. And I just want, when I was given this topic, of course, immediately in my mind, who changed because of there are many people actually changed because of cycling, but of course the one that really for me is very impactful for me is when I recognize Uzair and Munira. So that's when I approached Munira, and alhamdulillah she agreed. So basically I'm not here again to promote cycling, because I believe you might have your own passion, hobby outside your academia, so academic. So just make sure that whatever we do, we can get benefit from out of it, and along the way we are able to help people whatever we do. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. and Puan Munira. I take one last round. Maybe there's any other question or comments? Okay. I assume tak ada. Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Jamal and Puan Munira, for joining us this afternoon and sharing with us a really wonderful story about not just about cycling, but about life. Yeah, about although the topic given is endurance cycling as a reflection of life, this is actually I think perfectly fits into what we hope to be able to achieve today. That we managed to reflect, using a hobby or perhaps a recreational activity, but that can actually transform our life to be a better human being, inshallah, and a better servant of Allah. With that, I thank everyone for your attentive attention, and I pass the floor back to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Dr. Mahyuddin. Thank you very much, our speaker, Prof. Dr. Jamalludin Abdul Rahman, also Madam Munira, for being a speaker for today. May Allah grant you good health, so we will all continue to benefit directly from your wisdom. As someone from a younger generation, I have learned so much from this inspiring talk, I would say. Alhamdulillah, with this, we come to the end of the session. May Allah continue to provide us with His guidance and protection. And also, please be informed that the ISO 9001-2015 Surveillance 1 Audit 2022 will be conducted from 7 until 11 November 2022, involving 17 KCDIOM. We will later email the notification on the audit to respective KCDIOM involved. So thank you again, everyone, for joining the session. We end the session with Tasbih Kafarah and Surah Al-Nas.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Munira.
Thank you, Puan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.